Mental illness within COVID-19. This is my mom, and typically she's a pretty happy and settled person. Except for one night, she came home from visiting one of our church members, whose name is Bonnie. She's put in a local elderly home, and my mom just came home one day, and she just sat down and looked so ill in the face. And I just asked her, hey, are you okay, Mom? What's going on? And she looked at me and she said, it's Bonnie. And I said, what's wrong with Bonnie? And she said, she has no will to live anymore. And I was like, what do you mean, Mom? And she said, she is so secluded from everybody for quarantine. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, she has no will to live. And this is when I knew that there was a problem with mental illness and COVID-19. In a study made by Lancet Psychiatry, they did a study and measured the mental health of COVID-19 patients. And as you can see here, the blue is every other respiratory illness, and the red is COVID-19. It's significantly higher. They used a network called the TriNetX network. And basically, TriNetX takes all of the data from healthcare networks and puts it into charts, graphs, and analyzes it so it's easier to read for you and me. They take 13 of the 15 pharmaceutical companies and 170 healthcare networks across the nation. This has become a market leader in protocol design, feasibility, and site selection, and they analyzed 34,000 protocols, presented over 7,800 clinical trial opportunities to its health members, and reduced site identification time in its clinical trials by 50%. They made graphs like this, and like this. Very easy for you and me to read. In an Ecuador study, Ecuador was one of the worst countries hit by COVID-19. They did a self-survey where people could go on and basically just say how they're feeling, and most people put that they commonly experience anxiety, insomnia, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The CDC also did a study. They administered a self-reporting tool by Qualtrics, and it was sent out to over 5,000 adults. Respondents reported whether they had started or increased substance use to cope with stress or emotions related to COVID-19, and most of these were mental health and suicide thoughts for younger adults, caregivers, essential workers, and unpaid caregivers. And in late June, 40% of people reported having problems with mental health, and as you can see according to this graph. This is Irako Kabashi, and she is one of these people who have these mental illnesses. She has tried to commit suicide 4 times. 4 times. And then during the pandemic of 2020, her mental health plummeted as well. In Japan, in October of 2020, 2,100 people committed suicide. And this was at one point, this was more deaths than COVID-19. Lancet Psychiatry did another study that proved this claim wrong, that there was no actual correlation between suicide and COVID-19 patients. Between September 1st and November 1st of 2020, they did a study and an interrupted time series analysis to model the trend in monthly suicides before COVID-19, and each country or area living within a country, comparing the expected numbers of suicide derived from the model with observed number of suicide in the early months of 2020. So basically, they took all the normal suicide rates and then added what the COVID-19 would have added to that. And they used this for 21 countries. And there was no correlation between the two. So this proved that claim wrong. So in conclusion, the CDC put out this, where they basically just gave you gave you solutions of how your mental health doesn't have to plummet. So you may be asking yourself, how can we stop this mental health crisis that we have right now? The CDC and the NCAA published articles of how to cope and manage stress with COVID-19 as seen here. So take care of your body, connect with people, and get the vaccine when it's available. Thank you.